I'm going to read from Galatians 5:14. It says, or it quotes, "For the whole law is fulfilled in one word. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." And what that's basically talking about is talking about how you shouldn't treat anybody differently than what you as yourself want to be treated.
Well, that's my friend Isaiah and I, who get together from time to time and play a little horse and one-on-one basketball and enjoy fellowship in God's family. And here we see in Acts chapter 10 a game changer for Peter and the whole church. They're all Jewish and they got saved. But Jews back then were isolationists, nationalistic, and didn't have a whole lot to do with the Gentile world. But God was calling them to be a light to the Gentiles, to every nation and language and ethnic group on the face of the planet. Why? Because God's vision for humanity is one holy nation. God's people, a family that He calls out of the world unto fellowship with Himself and with each other. A community we call the church. And it's God's design. But in Acts chapter 10, the first Gentile convert comes in. Already we've seen a Samaritan get saved, an Ethiopian eunuch from Africa get saved, and now a European centurion who Peter is called by God to go to and share the good news. And Peter's whole paradigm shifted. And he says this in chapter 10, verse 34. Then Peter began to speak. I now realize how true it is that God does not show favoritism, but accepts from every nation the one who fears Him and does what is right. Cornelius heard the gospel of Jesus Christ, repented, and his whole family came into God's family, and Jew and Gentile alike became one in Christ. That's God's design for our world. And wouldn't that be a game changer for this world we live in that's looking for answers to prejudice and racism, nationalism, and division? Folks, the answer is in the gospel of peace, the gospel of reconciliation, the gospel that has as its design bringing a people, reconciling them to God, and then with each other, as we see happen here with Peter and Cornelius and his whole family. And so Galatians chapter 3, there's a verse in there that says this: for those who are in Christ, there is therefore now no Jew nor Gentile, slave nor free, male nor female, for all are one in Christ. We're all one in Him. And when you're converted and are filled with the Spirit of God begins connecting us, bonding us with God and each other. It goes hand in hand. And that's the answer that our world needs.